Imagine waking up tomorrow, looking at your bank account and deciding, you know what, I'm good. I'm not buying anything today. Now imagine your neighbour does the same thing, and the guy down the street. Then everyone in your city. By noon, the entire planet has collectively agreed to just hold on to their money. On paper, this sounds like a personal finance influencer's dream. Everyone is saving money. The debt crisis is solved. Except, within 48 hours, this economic utopia triggers the absolute collapse of modern civilization. You see, we are taught that money is an asset, a physical thing you hold, but the global financial system doesn't care about how much money exists, it cares about how fast it moves. Here is the terrifying breakdown of what will happen if the world stops spending money.
To understand why the world breaks, we have to look at a concept economists call the velocity of money. When you spend $5 at a local cafe, you aren't just trading paper for caffeine. You are kicking off a chain reaction. That $5 pays the barista, who pays their rent, which pays the landlord's mortgage, which funds the bank, which loans money to a tech startup, which hires an engineer, who buys a coffee. But the moment you keep it in your pocket, that chain of activity completely vanishes.
By day 3 of the Great Spending Freeze, the local coffee shop realizes its revenue has dropped by 80%. They can't pay the barista. The barista gets laid off. Now, the barista physically cannot spend money, even if they wanted to. This is the paradox of thrift, a brilliant concept popularized by John Maynard Keynes. It states that while saving money is smart for you as an individual, if everyone saves at the same time, total savings actually plummet because everyone loses their income. By week 2, the crisis moves from your local high street to Wall Street and the City of London. Modern corporations do not run on savings. They run on lines of credit, backed by projected future sales. When sales hit zero, the entire corporate architecture shatters.
Step 1. Companies realize they have warehouses full of iPhones, cars, and clothes that nobody is buying.
Step 2. To trigger spending, they slash prices. A $1,200 laptop drops to $200. This is deflation, and it sounds great until you realize why it's deadly. Step 3. If prices are falling every day, why would you buy a car today when it will be 10% cheaper next week? You wait. Everyone waits. Consumption drops to absolute zero. Suddenly, massive companies cannot pay the interest on their corporate bonds. They default. The stock market doesn't just dip, it fundamentally ceases to function because companies are no longer valued on growth, they are valued on survival. Now the crisis reaches the final boss, the government.
How does a government pay for roads, hospitals, and police? Income tax and sales tax, or VAT. If nobody has an income and nobody is buying goods, the government's revenue stream instantly vaporizes. At the same time, millions of newly unemployed people are applying for state benefits. The government has exactly one option left to prevent total anarchy. They turn on the central bank printers. They pull a lever and inject trillions of digital dollars into the system to force liquidity back into the veins of the economy.
But remember the trap. Nobody is productive. No goods are being made. No services are being offered. You now have a government printing infinite amounts of money to chase a completely stagnant pool of goods. But wait, it gets worse. You might think, fine, the banks fail, the corporations fail, but we still have the physical stuff. We can just barter. We can go back to basics. That is layer 1.
the obvious reality. But layer 2 is the hidden truth. We don't live in a world that knows how to go back to basics. Consider the modern supply chain. A single iPhone requires components from dozens of countries, moving through thousands of hands. The trucks delivering food to your local grocery store rely on a complex network of credit just to buy diesel fuel at the pump. Drivers don't use cash, they use corporate fleet cards backed by multi-million-dollar credit lines.
If the spending stops, those credit lines instantly freeze. The truck driver can't buy fuel. The truck stops. The grocery store shelves go empty in 72 hours. We aren't just talking about a drop in the stock market anymore. We are talking about the sudden, aggressive halt of electricity, water treatment, and food distribution. The system is so optimized for efficiency that it has zero tolerance for hesitation. The entire global economy is built on a collective psychological illusion. It is a giant game of musical chairs where the music is never, ever allowed to stop playing. The system doesn't require you to be rich, and it doesn't care if you are in debt. It only requires one thing to survive: your absolute, uninterrupted participation. So the next time you tap your card or your phone to buy a completely unnecessary coffee, just remember, you aren't just treating yourself. You're keeping the world from tearing itself apart.